Good afternoon, everyone. It's 2 p.m. on a Monday. We got through an entire week. We did it. I got through an entire week of shows and was able to do it. 5 days, 5 full days. It was something. It was different. It was fun. Let's see who we have in the chat. I'm so glad to be here with you guys today. We have, looking here, we've got Sharon and Hamro, Justice and Smith and Ronan and Future and Adam and Robin and JJ. Hey, Truthy's here. How are we winning today? David's here. Easy's here. Easy Rhino 56. Hello. Hello to everybody. How are we winning today? We are. I mean, we've been winning every day. It's been a glorious thing to behold. And I said when I started this new show, like today, like the show's going to be different. It's not always going to be the same thing. So for the past week, we've spent a whole lot of time on Doge and on USAID and all that funding and everything else. And I'm going to touch on some of that today, but the title of the show is Navigating the Awakening for a reason. So we're going to have a conversation, we are. And then I don't know how long it's going to go, maybe half hour, maybe 45 minutes, maybe 35, maybe 20. I don't know. I prepped basically nothing today other than this kind of stream of consciousness that I'm going to go on with all of you guys. And it's just going to be completely organic based on experiences I've had over the past couple of days. And I think that everybody is somewhere different in this kind of journey that we've all been on. For some people, you have known what's going on around you since the 70s, 80s, which, by the way, my husband shared a meme with me. Actually, I should probably pull it up. This is mind-blowing, and I didn't want to believe it when I first saw it. And I shared it with everybody on X, and it kind of made me shudder a little bit. In only 5 years, the 80s will be 50 years ago. That's insane. That's insane to me. And a lot of other people thought it was insane too, because they were like, why are you doing this? 600 comments. Why are you doing this? Why? It's true. Why am I doing this? Why did I do it to myself? But, there was a very interesting thing that happened over the past couple days that I wanted to just talk about with you. So as people have realized that the things they thought were true were lies, there's like this process you go through. And for me, it happened a long, long time ago, like back when I was 20 and I'm going to be 45. But I understand it and I remember it very, very well, where you start off and you trust like literally nothing that anybody tells you. And then you start to trust everything that is the opposite of what people told you. And then after a little while, if you stick with it, you start to kind of find yourself again and be able to like settle into things and plant your feet firmly on the ground and use the internal guidance system that God gave you to navigate your way through life. And not everybody has that experience. Not everybody realizes that everything they've been told or made to believe is a lie. And most of the things that they've have been made to believe is a lie. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Most of those things are things that control you in some way, that force you to give up power over yourself to someone else to get things accomplished. Control mechanisms, weaponization of race, weaponization of religion, weaponization of, men versus women, weaponization of the government, all kinds of things. All of them are tools of division whereby you take your agency and you hand it to some other thing for guidance instead of basically going within and realizing, you've got all of that guidance system ingrained within you that was given to you by God or whatever you believe in, religiously or spiritually or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like for you, that's your truth. So whatever you believe in, for me, it's God. So God gifts you this conscience, this voice, this inner knowing, this heart that you can use to kind of feel yourself around. And when you get thrown off kilter, especially in the beginning of things, you are just a little astray. And hopefully, a lot of the time, you are able to navigate through that, and you reach for things that in your everyday life, not involving this stuff, that make you feel good, and you remember to be grateful, and you kind of latch back on to those basics that we all have as we navigate this human experience as a spiritual being. And for some people, that search for what am I doing, why am I here, what is my purpose, gets bigger and bigger and bigger until they can't ignore it anymore. And they go, like myself included, like this has been going on for some 25 years now, but really seriously in earnest over the past 4 or 5, maybe. And I'm going to loop this all together, but I have to say this. It's so easy to claw onto the negative of everything. And I did it. That was totally me for a very long time. I was, addicted to the conspiracy channels that were saying the world is ending and everything's terrible and we're doomed and there's never going to be any justice and these things are all terrible and, they're getting away with this and whatever. And like it ignites this different part of you, because inherently, I believe anyway, human beings are all good. We're all inherently born good. What happens to us, or are we allowed to change us along the way, is ultimately a different story. But we're inherently all good, and we all yearn for and crave justice, and we don't like to see people be persecuted and taken advantage of, and we want the right side of things to come out the right way, which is why we want justice for the wrongdoing we're seeing in the world right now. Like, we crave the righting of that ship. We crave the fixing of the boat. Like, let's hold these people accountable as a lesson so that this doesn't happen again. And, there are consequences. And everybody wants that deep down, I think. Even people who don't agree with what we technically agree with in this audience, I believe, and I'm sure there are some that don't agree with everything I say, or you say, or anyone would say, but people on the other side of these issues that we would argue are ill-informed or misinformed or working from a different universe of facts, still think that they are correct and want justice for the wrongs. So, like, for example, the people that really somehow believe that Trump is, quote, literally Hitler, want justice for the wrongs that they perceive literally Hitler to be committing, even though they're not wrongs as far as our perspective goes. So it's basically everybody wants the good, whatever they perceive that good to be, to come to the surface. And I'm making this baseline series of statements for a reason. And so I'm under, no illusion that everybody out there likes me or appreciates me or, thinks I'm great or like wants to be my friend or whatever. I mean, nobody out there, everybody doesn't like everybody out there. That would be a beautiful world, but there are just some people you don't mesh with, and that's fine. My husband called me today. We put up a cat gate. It's actually a cat fortress because the cats got upstairs and destroyed my studio and my lights and all kinds of other stuff. They're evil little cats. They're really cute. They're not evil. But anyway, he was installing this gate, and it fell down because one of my cats, Frankie, ran by and kind of like knocked it, and it fell down and damaged the door, and he tried to catch it and he hurt his back. Why am I telling you this? You'll see. He hurt his back. And so he's like, we went a good solid 3 or 4 days with him in really serious pain until he was finally like, I need to go back and see our chiropractor, who is an amazing guy. He's just an amazing chiropractor. He really knows his stuff. He's so grounded in health and natural health and holistics and all of that. So Will went back to this chiropractor and saw him, and he does this series of scans that check for like heat in your spine. He does like some x-ray just to make sure there's nothing seriously wrong. And there's a number of other tests for like muscle tension. There's just a whole rigmarole you go through. And Will got that done, and he was like, well, let's get your acute problem taken care of. And so he's been going for the past couple of, sessions. And today was the day that they review everything. And Will called me on his way home, and he was like, Tracy, obviously the plan that he wants us to be on so that I can really fix this is super expensive, and we're not sure if we can do it, but that's not why I'm calling you. I'm calling you to tell you what doctor said to me in the room when we were going over the results of all these, thermal scans and all this. And he looked at me and he said, for a almost 45-year-old man, I am absolutely blown away at the condition that your spine and your discs are in, especially given the fact that you have been walking around your almost entire life carrying, until recently, the past 3 years or so, 400 pounds. Like, your back is in better shape than most people your age who have not had that happen. Right? And the doctor was like blown away, and he was like, it's diet. It's diet. It has to be diet. I've never seen anything like this before. And he had this long conversation about, what Will did and how he did it and whatever. And Will called me. He's telling me this, and I'm in the midst of trying to plan the show and figure out which direction to take it in and how to broach this topic we're going to talk about today. And I'm like overwhelmed with this feeling of love and joy, because it made me think of so many different things in our journey. And I'm sure many of you have a story like this, but like, I'm like, 3 years ago, 3.5 almost, you made a decision, a conscious decision to get healthy. And that single decision that you made to do what you did has altered the course of both of our lives in ways that probably are not very explainable. Like, if he didn't do that, I wouldn't have done it. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't have started to really research into everything surrounding health and how that incorporates into what we're talking about here with mind, body, and spirit, and how that all plays together. And if he didn't do that, then he would still be clinically depressed and overweight and not getting sleep and all of the things that made our lives worse than what they are today. My family wouldn't have healed. My soul definitely wouldn't have healed the way it did. I wouldn't have been able to do any of the work on myself that I've done to get me to the point that we're about to talk about today. And it really just exemplifies to me not only perspective on like this whole health journey that we should all be on in so many different ways, spiritually, mentally, physically, but also like how our choices in life like really direct the path we go in, and how important it is to take these things seriously. Like Will said to me, I just want to scream it from the rooftops that fixing your diet heals your body. Innumerable life changes. One of the life changes for me that I've referenced quite a bit has been that I did a lot of work on myself. I wasn't in a good place mentally like 4 or 5 years ago with myself, not like outwardly, like, obviously it comes out. But 4 or 5 years ago, if what happened this past weekend happened, I would have been seriously hurt inside. My heart would have hurt. I would have felt bad. And the reason why is because I feel like I, for a very long time, was looking outward for acceptance and for my own self-worth, like looking to other people to make me feel good about myself instead of knowing who I am, knowing my heart, and knowing where I stand and letting that be my guiding principle. So I was able to kind of look at this operation that was rolled out over the past 3 days on social media and look at it from a different perspective. Not from a perspective of, oh, Tracy's being persecuted by people. Or, oh, look at how these people are misjudging me. This isn't who I am. Like, why do these people think this about me? How can I change their minds? I don't care about whether or not you like me. If you don't have to be here. Like, you don't have to be here, and you probably won't be. And that's great. Like, if you're not vibing with what I'm saying and you don't appreciate, if you think I'm a terrible person and I have evil in my heart, I would hope that you wouldn't spend your time consuming what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense. So I was looking at everything rolling out over the weekend with this USAID scandal that started up, and everybody was attacking Scott Pressler, and people started attacking Turning Point and Charlie Kirk and Tyler Bauer, myself and General Flynn and Lara Logan. There was a laundry list of people that got kind of swept up into this. So I'm like 30,000 feet looking down from above this whole thing, saying there's something very interesting about all of this. And I just want to point it out, because I think it might be beneficial. Let me get rid of this text message. Hold on. I think it might be beneficial to see it from a different perspective. Like, are we actually ready, many of us, for an awakening like we're experiencing right now? Or are we still going to be willing to let other people act as our marionette and weaponize our good hearts against the wrong thing? And how does that happen? Like, how does somebody allow themselves to be used in that way? Disconnection. Like, I don't blindly react to anything anymore, ever. And I'm not trying to say that, like, oh, I'm better than everybody else. No. What I'm trying to say is I've changed so much because of all this. Like, I've changed so much inside how I walk, how I treat other people, where my heart is, how my heart feels. So I don't I don't give my emotional well-being away to other people to dangle like a carrot in front of me that I follow around with my weaponized heart. And if you think about it, at the end of the day, that's what these propaganda campaigns are meant to do. They're meant to weaponize like your heart, your soul, your feelings against people that whoever they deem the target would be that day. And it doesn't matter whether or not when that happens, it ends up being completely false. It doesn't matter if it's partially false and partially true. None of that matters. Once the person who's allowing themselves to be a puppet is a puppet, logic, reason, discussion, none of it matters, because our emotions are the most powerful force in the universe. Truly, they really are. And some people might be like, oh, I was wrong about this. I'm so sorry. Let me correct. And those people, are a little bit further along in the journey. What I'm warning about right now, or at least talking to you about, is how do you navigate a world where literally everything is up in the air? Like, how do you navigate through this minefield where there's accusations being thrown around left and right all over the place about people that you think you know, people that you think you knew, people that you love, people that you hate, quote. How do you navigate it? It is literally, it's everything. It's health, it's medicine, it's politics, it's government corruption, it's psyops being run on good people, trying to weaponize them to stop other people from being effective. I'm not all that worried about this stuff, because the only people that are going to be ending up here are people who are supposed to be here. So to me, like, looking at this go round was much different than many of the other times there's been weaponized attacks against me. And it's happened quite a bit. I used to take it very personally. It used to be really hard to see so many people saying such terrible things about me that I knew weren't true. But I don't really care anymore. Like, because I'm not looking to other people to make myself worth something. I don't need to do that anymore. So I was able to observe this from a different place. So how do we navigate it? Like, what tools do we need? How do we, wake people up to the fact that it's even happening at all if they're within it? Is it our place to wake people up to the fact that it's happening? Or is this just something that needs to like roll out across the planet and have its way? I don't know. What I do know is what I've been able to do to get myself to the place where I can go through my weekend with God reminding me so many times throughout the weekend that this is literally not life. Like, what's going on out there, people hurling things at you and saying nasty things, is not real life. This beautiful conversation you had with your friend for an hour that made you cry, that's real life. Sitting at lunch with your son for his birthday, that's real life. Hearing your husband call and telling you that he's healthy and his spine is healthy and his back is healthy and the doctor was blown away at how he's been able to heal himself. That's real life. Hugging somebody randomly, that's real life. Going to the, and so like with that perspective and those reminders and being conscious of them and getting them and understanding them. Cognitive sovereignty is a really good term, and Ronan is bringing it up. That's what real life is. This is not. This is a game. This is really a war for your mind. So like Ronan said in the chat, how do you reclaim your cognitive sovereignty? And one of the things that I really wanted to focus on this show was like little tips that I've come across to do that. Plant your feet firmly on the ground and use your heart to know if what you're doing is good or bad, or if you should be feeling the way you're feeling, I should say. If you feel angry, if you feel like you're in fear, if you feel upset, or if you feel revenge, or if you feel any of those things, you're not meant to feel that way. You're not meant to feel that way. And guess what? Whoever you want revenge upon is not feeling that feeling. They're not. You are. And that feeling is running through you, and it's hurting you every second that you let it consume you. For every second that you feel hate, even if you spelled out all the facts and the person deserves it in your mind, you are putting your body, your mind, your spirit through that feeling of hate. Your body, your cortisol levels, your metabolic health, your stress levels, your attitude when you go home to your family at the end of the day after work, all of that. The hate you have for that person out there somewhere that did something that you're angry about is affecting you physically, mentally, and spiritually, and is not affecting them. So when you see accusations fly past you on social media and you see nasty things being flung by you on social media, usually by faceless avatars, sometimes by real people who just harbor hate for you in their heart for some reason you're unsure of, don't take it personally, because it's a them thing, not a you thing. And all we can really hope to do at this point is to understand that there is a game out there that's being played to weaponize the humanity's heart, to weaponize humanity's soul against each other so that no good progress can be made elsewhere. If you react to something in a negative way, You are allowing somebody else, whether it's a video producer or an artist or a podcast host or a CIA asset cloaked as something else or whatever, to literally take up the marionette strings and puppeteer your puppet. Do you really, really want to do that? 5-second rule, 30-second rule, 3-day rule, 72-hour rule, whatever it is, disconnect yourself from the emotion that is being force-fed to you. Take a deep breath, center yourself, pray, whatever you got to do. Reconnect to the truth of who you actually are. Don't give your power away to someone else. And then come to a conclusion. I wrote a status update about this, actually. And I said, did anybody ever see the show The Traitors? It's a show that my husband and I watch like on Fridays when we have our little date night. We watch like random ass TV shows just to spend some time together and disconnect from everything. And the premise of the show is pretty simple. You get like 20 people, you bring them up to some castle somewhere, and the first episode, they go around and they pick, everybody gets blindfolded, and out of the 20, they pick like 3 traitors who are supposed to be, by the end of the show, if the traitors are still in the house, they get money. But if the other people left, the 17 others are called faithful. So the traitors are outnumbered 17-3. Think about this for a second. And they live together in this house, and every day there's like a competition, and they win money, and then they go back to the house, and they have this round table at the end where everybody gets together and they have a conversation about who the traitors are in the group and why. And the traitors every night go up to this tower and they pick someone that they're going to eliminate from the group. So the traitors pick someone to be murdered, and the faithful have to try and figure out who the traitors are. And every night they have this round table discussion where everybody throws out their ideas of who the traitors are and who the faithful are. And you got to go around and try and figure it out. I'm going to tell you something. I've watched gosh knows how many shows now of this series. 90% of the time, if not a little bit more, traitors are safe every week. Faithful get voted out every week. The faithful get voted out every week. Somebody says, well, I didn't like the way this person looked at me, and I didn't like the way this person talked to that person, so they must be a traitor. And you see the faithful person who's being accused of being a traitor sitting there like, no, I'm not a traitor. I promise, I swear I'm not a traitor. Like, I that's just how I am. Like, I'm quiet. My personality is quiet. I don't talk a lot. And they're like, no. These are other faithful saying to this faithful, no, we know you're a traitor. I know it. I know you're a traitor, actually, because so-and-so said that this person said that person said, and they vote out faithful after faithful after faithful. And meanwhile, the traitors are just sitting there and they're like watching the crowd. Like, oh, look at this. And then they'll go up and they'll choose to murder somebody to stir the pot a little bit more. It would be wise to think about how you're being manipulated to attack seemingly good people for no other reason other than somebody has your marionette block and they're just moving it around, and you're still raising your hand because you still, not you, like, I'm not talking to you guys, I'm just saying you still haven't been able to plant your feet firmly down on the ground. Take control of everything back. Everything, including your emotions. Cognitive sovereignty. Great phrase. Great phrase. Take cognitive sovereignty back over yourself. And do not allow anybody outside of you to weaponize your good heart in any way, shape, or form. So navigating the awakening is literally just that. There is crap flying at us every single day from every different angle in ways I never dreamed possible. There's going to be a group of people that come through this more joyful and abundant and happier than ever. There's going to be a group of people that for some odd reason are still addicted to the dopamine hit they get from fear and anger and hatred. And your decision at the end of the day is going to be like, who do I want around me? Do I want around me the people that thrive off of that negative energy? Or do I feel more comfortable and happy around people that are in happiness and joy and peace and love, as we take this kind of weird traverse through the universe with this global awakening that's going on all over the planet right now? I feel like there is something absolutely beautiful that will come of all this. But is it all going to be roses and daisies on the way? Not for everybody. It's not. And it's not going to be the last time that I experience something like I experienced over the past few days. But I do feel comfortable that I'm pretty satisfied with myself. I'm happy with the way I live. I know my heart. I know how I feel. I know my values. I know what love is. I know these things now. And I didn't before, especially not before I started getting healthy, and certainly not when I was in the throes of my original kind of eye-opening experience. So it's been something to go through over the past couple of days. So if you guys want to discuss this with me, let's do this. Instead of me throwing out a chat link today, I'll just say if you want to chat about anything I've talked about so far, you can hit a 1 or 2 or 3, any number. Throw a number up in the chat, and I'll throw a Zoom invite out there for you. There are some news things going on today, like, for example, okay, hold on, Gigi wants to. So let me get this ready. Bear with me. Bear with me a moment. There's some new stuff going on, but truthfully, like, I'm not feeling it today. And because the show is 5 days a week, I don't have to be feeling it today. I don't have to be. And that's the glorious thing about doing my own show, is that I don't have to. Okay, here's the carnivore questions are welcomed. Everybody is welcome. I'm going to pin this message here at the top. If you want to join, by all means, come on in and we can have a conversation. Let me just make sure that's all right. Yeah, so, oops. Okay. Here she is. Let me bring her in. Hold on. Oh, the dentist is back today.
The dentist.
Yes. Okay, Gigi, welcome. Let's chat.
The reason I want to chat is because yesterday I spoke to someone who explained to me that their spouse, who is an addictive personality, because that's the point of all this, doesn't really have much to talk to them about anymore, because they used to be very conspiratorial. They were into Q. They believed everything that they were reading and told about, what's going on in Trump world and from 2016 on. And then they decided that all of this was manipulation, and they felt betrayed and said they had PTSD.
Wow.
So now they take that and push it away completely and push away all the friends they had and become addicted to the opposite. And that's the same thing, really. Why not everything in moderation? Why do we have to do everything addictively and do it all 100%, even, just disregarding all this manipulation is still manipulation.
That's where touch grass comes from.
Well, unfortunately, most people, all right, the people around us might not agree with us anymore, but they were our close friends. Do we give them up completely now because they don't agree with us anymore, because we don't want to be manipulated by what they're saying anymore? That's the hard part of all of this, is not giving up on everyone.
You don't give up on anybody until, like, that tends to happen naturally when you change. People,
It can.
People naturally just fall off and you make new friends. Like,
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to force yourself to be around somebody. But at the same time, like, chances are, if you're not on the same wavelength, the time you spend together will, like, just...
It's kind of sad, though, because, like I said, it's still an addiction. It's an addiction now to the opposite of what you were doing. You're still doing everything gung-ho, but now you're anti everything that you were before.
Yes. There's
hard.
No moderation.
Right. There's no, and I think I'm the kind of person that believes everything in moderation. I don't believe in, going gung-ho for anything. I just want to try and, live in the middle somewhere. And I think that that's probably the healthiest way to live. I mean,
yeah, because you're able to maintain control over yourself that way. Like, that person is doing the same exact thing as they were doing before. Like, the subject matter doesn't matter. There's no change in their stress levels or anything like that. Exactly. And not only that, but now they're also hating people that they used to really love.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And then it could be your spouse, it could be your mother, it could be your father. You've got to learn how to handle it and juggle it all, and not take that addiction and just put it in another spot.
Observe things.
Just feel for that.
Yes, agreed. You just have to observe. Just observe.
Right.
You don't have to, like, suck everything inside of you and take it as a part of yourself. Just observe.
Just relax.
Yes.
Relax.
Deep breaths.
All right. I'm going to hang up and let the dentist come on, because I really want to know about this.
Well, there's a lot of people in here today, so
okay.
We'll see how far we get.
All right. Love you.
Love you
Bye.
too. All right. Let's see. Gigi, let me get you out of here. Put in waiting room. Okay. Let's see. I'm like so afraid. Let's see what happens here. Nothing's happening. Oh, here we go. Hey, John.
Hey there.
How you doing?
Hello, I'm all right. I'm in the city now, so I've got internet.
Well, that's a huge plus. It's good to be able to hear you.
I didn't know if I was going to get you because I was in the waiting room. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, when you're in the waiting room, you can't. You'd have to have the podcast still on.
I got like two questions. One is, as all this information comes out, people are going to lose their minds. And I have children that have already written me off. And we got into it again this weekend regarding Elon and Doge and whatnot. And it's just like, I don't know. I keep praying that someday the truth will get out to where people can no longer ignore it, deny it, shove their heads in the sand. But it's been a long 4 years, I'm gonna tell you.
It has, and that truth is not going to reach everybody. There is always going to be somebody who doesn't see it. Always. And like, you've done what you can do, right, for your kids. Like, you've done what you can do. There's nothing else you can do. And that's such a terrible place to find yourself. Like, what do you do to kind of get through that?
Usually bite my tongue, back away, disengage.
Well, you're still talking to your kids, though. They're not, like, disowned you. They haven't.
They're pretty close to disown me. I saw them all at Christmas time I saw the girls for an hour one day, and I saw the boys for an hour the next day. And both times it was around coffee, and I can understand why younger generation is never going to buy a house, because $30 for a coffee date is ridiculous. But
it's so expensive. It's so dumb. Like, why?
Yeah, I carry a thermos every day. I make a pint. I bring it with me. But, they all went to the Ohio State University, and they got minors in social justice, and they believe what they see on mainstream media, and there's no convincing them.
Goodness. Like, you
I'm
gotta let them come.
Yeah. A tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist that gets my information off of crackpot doctors on the internet and crazy podcasts rather than established science. And I'm like, Beanz, I've been following you for about 5 years, and I haven't done as much digging as you, but I've done a lot of digging. I sit in this truck every day, and I listen to podcasts, and I listen to congressional hearings, and my brain's about full.
Yeah, you're well informed, right? Like, I felt this way too when I was trying to convince people that I loved not to get the shot. And they would tell me, "You're not a doctor." And I would say, "Yes, I know, but I want to save your life." And the frustration of trying so desperately to convince somebody of something kind of let me know eventually, after failure, for lack of a better word, like, you will always cause your own suffering when you think you know what another soul's journey should be.
Okay. That's the crux of it. Darn it, why isn't my will aligning with God's will on this subject?
Like, you will always suffer when you think you know better what somebody else should be doing. Always.
Well, part of it, I want to be a grandpa someday.
I know.
I want my daughters to stop taking those doggone shots.
You're down here, you've got free will for a reason, and your choices direct your life. And as upset as that makes you, and it would make me and has made me, you're the only one suffering when you try to figure out why other people are acting the way they're acting. They're fine.
True. But I have seen that finding out that your whole belief system is a house of cards is actually physically painful. So that's what they've got to look forward to. And I'm in recovery, been in recovery for 37 years. So I had to realign my whole belief system once already. And then once again around 2016. And so I'm used to it, but it is really painful.
It is. It's not easy. And it's hard. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Like, but the whole point is, I think, at the end of the day, and I think we're getting there, like, as more of these kids grow up, when you're a parent, like, that's when all this starts, right? How you parent your children is where all this starts. Do you allow them to kind of, not that I have kids, you have kids, I'm not saying that, but like our parents, for example, and their parents, I think it's opening up more and more, like allowing your kids to explore their dreams and figure out what they want to do with their life, and not saying, don't do that, you need to fit in this box. And, it impacts everything.
We always told them, don't follow the crowd. Stand up for what you believe in. And they do. They're just on the wrong side.
In your opinion.
In my opinion, yeah.
Like, that's the hardest part of it, is letting them just be in their bubble, because it's their life. Like, you can't force them your way. You can't force it.
No. That's why I like my time so much. I'm like, I'm 62. The clock is ticking.
Damn.
We're wasting a lot of time that we could be spending together. And I'm not going to be around forever. And I want to spend time with him.
Yeah, it's hard.
That ain't happening.
It's hard. Well,
You got to spend time with your kids when they're young, because they won't be young forever.
no, they grow up very quickly. And you could only just pray that you have given them the seeds they need to sprout right.
I just hope they come back to the default setting that they think that I'm an intelligent, caring person. Like, hold on to that, because I still am.
Well, John, I think you're an intelligent, caring person, if it means anything.
Hey, if I sent you a DM with my email address, think we could have a private question,
Sure.
like on truth or facts or whatever?
Yeah, send me a DM. Let's do it.
I'm trying to go carnivore. I got a freezer full of beef, and I'm addicted to the crunch of carbohydrates. You know what I mean?
Just get yourself some pork rinds.
I've been doing that. It's a poor substitute. Unless I find a really good brand of pork rinds.
I have one, but outside of that, you said that you've been clean for how many years?
37.
All right, well, it's time to do the same thing you did with AA with sugar and carbs.
Yeah, and tobacco.
And then
Which is worth.
what you need to do is figure out what you're lacking inside that you're making up for by being addicted to something, anything, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you're just sad because of your kids. That'll do it.
Oh, I am. I mean, there's a lot. And there's, 12 hours a day in this truck. Okay, well, are we going to smoke? Are we going to snack? I've switched pretty much to pistachios and pork rinds. But it just requires more discipline.
Yeah, it does. And it is an addiction. You can break it, but it is an addiction. It is absolutely like the same things in your body that are triggered by when you use an illegal substance or an illicit substance are triggered when you eat sugar. It's the same exact thing, if not worse. So
I did manage. I got rid of sugar in my coffee like a year and a half ago. And that's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You think about how many times you bought a 5-pound bag of sugar in a year. And it might be teaspoon by teaspoon, but it all adds up.
yeah.
And so I got sugar out of there. We get another 21 and a half, please. I'm not before you getting gravel.
Oh, okay.
So you got anybody else in your waiting room?
Yeah, a few people.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the time.
Of course.
I'm in your chat as JJC3. I gotta coordinate all those usernames. But
Well, send me a DM and then we'll email and you can ask me whatever you want.
love your show, love what you do. Keep it on.
Keep trucking.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Let's see. Okay, so hold on. There's two of me. That's not what we want. All right, so I see you in here, Mark, and I see one other person that's never been here before. Mark can only join on Mondays, but let's see if we can get Susan. Hold on. Mark, you're next. Doctor, you're next. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Hi, lady.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good.
You having fun?
I am. And you know what's funny? I called in. It took me forever to figure out how to do the Zoom, whatever, but I'm here in the big room. You know.
Yes, the beautiful room. Yes.
I called in because I missed the first 10 minutes, but you were talking about like finding your joy and being happy or whatever. And I have to tell you, this weekend, I'm in the car with Steve. And I just was overwhelmed with just how happy I am. And it's like, I can't begin to tell you. It's just like, is this feeling on the inside that just expanded everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm they make their own decisions. That's on them. I'm happy. I've never been so happy in my life.
Your phone is breaking up. So are you on wireless?
I am, but oh man. Let's see. How do I change that?
You're fine where you're at right now, but like when you held it back further, and you're locked up again.
Okay.
There we go. You shut the video off, honey. Shut the video off.
I don't know how to do that.
There's a little camera, a video camera at the bottom.
Go. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Let me.
Nope. Sorry.
You're okay. I took you off screen, so you don't have to worry about futzing around.
Better now?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right.
And she's gone. Susan. That was my dear friend Susan. And there's nothing like experiencing someone else who's that happy. It is the best feeling in the world. I love when other people are happy. It makes me so happy to see other people happy. I can barely contain myself. If Susan comes back, I'm going to bring her back in. Otherwise, we'll bring in Mark the dentist, the holistic dentist from last Monday, the first show. See what he has to say to everybody today. Hold on. Hey there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I got to get this thing off the other part. There we go. There we go. It is a nuisance to figure it all out. It's always different. I'll give you a...
Yay!
I just ate a whole bag.
Isn't it fantastic, honestly?
It is. It is very good.
That is Matt Hat jerky, by the way. Carnivore-friendly jerky. Sharon will put the link everywhere for you to get it. Seriously, I wouldn't be like, oh, buy this if it wasn't good. It's good.
Yeah, it's very good.
I'm glad you liked it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for getting me back on here. I can talk about anything you want to talk about anytime.
Well, everybody was very excited when you were here last time. Because we were talking, I want to know more about that eggshell paste. I don't know. You didn't talk about eggshell paste the last time you were on.
No, there's several brands of things, I don't know, out there. There's many holistic stuff coming up, you know. The thing I avoid is carbon, like the charcoal that everyone wants to whiten their teeth can be abrasive. So I'd watch out for that.
I use a charcoal toothpaste.
You have to be careful of how much carbon's in there.
How do you know? Like, what do I look for?
Well, if it's totally black, it's going to be full. If it has, it might give you some percentage. You know, you could go. You know,
Will,
percentage.
Are you listening to this? Ours is black. Will,
do that once. Do it once a week. The harder,
you
if you
use
want.
it every day, like twice a day.
Well, your teeth seem white. Yeah. Well, I thought I'd want to get on with you on a regular basis if that's something that could work out. I feel like people always have these questions, and I want to spread them, the knowledge I have in different ways.
Mondays is great. We have 5 more minutes. We have some questions. I'll ask them to you, and you can give us the answers. Someone says, can we regrow teeth or heal cavities?
We can't currently regrow teeth. and we can restore like surfaces on teeth. But if the enamel is gone and you have like a pothole that you have to fix, but you can restore the dentin, you can kind of change the microenvironment to, it's honestly about diet again.
So,
K2 actually,
I'm so surprised.
vitamin K2, this is newer information, but vitamin K2 activates the parotid gland, but is actually an endocrine gland. So right here are your parotid glands, which produce 60% of your saliva. They also activate in your brain a pumping action of the fluid in your teeth. So when you have K2, it actually makes your tooth like a fountain. So you're resisting plaque touching the teeth, and so it's K2 is another kind of thing besides calcium metabolism. It also involves this endocrine pathway. But the question was like, when they're pitted, you have to fix them. But if you have like grooves and you change your diet completely and you never disturb that surface, it's possible to use calcium hydroxide and hydroxyapatite in some toothpaste, and oil pulling with ghee and things you could produce, new surfaces. But you can't once it's cavitated, once it's broken.
I am so blown away by the number of questions that are pouring in for you. It is so exciting. Okay.
We could do a show, just our show. If you want to do a show, I would do it. I love you. I mean, I
love
feel
you
like
too.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait. So first of all, my husband says he's changing the toothpaste. Thank you, Will. Okay.
Like you can still use it, I said.
No,
once
but
a week.
we're using it every day, like several times a day. Like I brush my teeth at least twice or 3 times a day. So
that's good. That's what you should do.
But I'm using that full of carbon charcoal toothpaste to do it. So, okay. I have someone, please ask Mr. Dentist if he knows about Entamoeba gingivalis. It's spelled Entamoeba, gingivalis.
Yeah, I mean, there are some severe gingivitis, which is just the gums involved. That can be like what you hear about trench mouth in the day. They also called it pyorrhea but it's called ANA, which is acute ulcerative gingivitis. It's pretty bad. But if you have organisms like that, you could have something like a focal infection that's producing them. They're often found in end-stage periodontal disease or abscesses that are toxic, like in a failing root canal might be a good example where you might get amoeba. I don't know if I could see the word, I could tell you what it is, but all the funky bugs are usually anaerobic in later stages in the biofilms that accumulate. So you have a biofilm, you have a colony of bugs in a glycoprotein mix, and when they're nasty, they kind of can produce sulfur and things like that.
That's so gross.
And they're destructive. Yeah.
One thing that I haven't done, and I'm kind of actually glad I haven't done it yet, actually, is I need an implant that I'm terrified to get. And the reason I'm terrified to get it is because my body tends to expunge things that don't belong there. I've had other things go on where I've needed like titanium, and it always just pushes it out. So I haven't gotten the implant done.
Yeah, we talked about that one time on a TM. I mean, basically, we're using zirconia, and most of Europe's using zirconia.
Yes.
Now. Yeah, and it's very biocompatible. It doesn't tend to build up plaque, and it's beautifully white. It's white.
Well, I mean, I used to mill it, so I know exactly.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I used to mill it, and it's I worked before I started all this full time. I worked as a manager of a dental laboratory, and I managed
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I managed a very large dental laboratory and implant lab in New York.
Oh, wow.
And then my husband was a dental technician, so we could have very long conversations about dental.
Yeah, really.
But I haven't gotten this implant yet, so every time like it's here, you could see this little hole.
I watched that.
It bothers the hell out of me. It bothers me. Like I want to get a one-tooth flipper. Just stick it up.
Yeah, I'll make that for you. I saw that like initially when I started watching you. That's when I reached out. I said, I'll fix that for you.
Yeah. I had it removed. It was a failed root canal. A failed root canal from when I was 20 years old, maybe 19, 20. I just bit into a bagel and crack.
Yeah, it's controversial. It's something that's a lot of money is involved with root canals and saving teeth. Some people feel like it's very important to keep every tooth, and so it's debated. It's highly debated, and we talked about it last week a little bit.
I lost it anyway, so.
Yeah, it would probably, that bone has to be looked at, and you have to see what.
Well, I got a graft done, so that's done. Like,
Okay.
I got a bone graft done, so there's bone there. But I don't know if I want to insert anything into my jaw. I think I just want to get a little flipper and be done with it. I'm not going to ruin my teeth for a bridge. That's silly. They're healthy.
That's exactly the philosophy I like, that you're thinking, that mindset. So
Yeah. Because, like, to do a bridge, everyone out there, maybe Mark can explain it before we go. Explain what a dentist has to do and why they would do it to give you a bridge in your mouth. Go ahead.
well, if you have a missing single tooth and they're pretty teeth on either side, they don't have fillings or crowns, then you're kind of you're altering a virgin tooth. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that was a joke. Anyway, you use the teeth adjacent to the missing tooth area, so it could be 3-unit bridge or 4-unit bridge, and you span across, and you individually change one. You individually replace teeth with individual implants is probably a better option. And I guess I would say there are a lot of opinions about this, and it depends on your terrain, your biology, and your diet's gonna. You'll have good bone there, I'm sure, for that. That's kind of the key thing for implant placement, is that you have to have good quality bone there. So anyway, the bridge cuts, ruins teeth, and every time you cut a tooth, there's potential issue there.
It's scary.
Yeah.
I would not be carving up my teeth just so I could have, no. Mm-mm. So, well, what's one thing you want to tell us before we go today?
Oh, well, I'll go to your conversation you were having with John and your start. I think you have to have grace with people that have been duped, and it's mass formation psychology. I don't know if you know Desmond.
Yeah.
Desmond wrote a book, and it was really about how this they really bamboozled the most of the population by just constantly throwing the fear stuff out. I mean, I would say I was scared. Like, I had to close my practice. I mean, I was under the gun, and I felt all the feelings you're talking about. Like, my heart rate was up. But now I just say, people are going to do what they want to do. And but when you come across people like your loved ones, especially, you have to give them grace that they'll come to their own opinion at some point. But you have to lean a little bit on people you care about. And so you have to lean into a little bit of your truth. And then if they don't, like, my kids have all come around. You were right, Dad, in a lot of ways. So it'll come back around. It's just you have to have, and it's scary to think it's not in this lifetime or this time that it will. And you hope that you don't ruin that with family. But yeah, and then I just say, I think you have to watch for the chemicals. You talked about everything being addictive. Just sugar alone is addictive, but then there's all the chemicals that are there. And so John's trick in the truck is like, you're just sitting there driving and you have to eat. So you have to figure out what to build into your day. He's already doing it with coffee, which is smart, because you can control what you put in your. We can call this a pie hole again.
You can. It's a choice every time you eat something. Yeah. Literally a choice. Yeah,
and it is like, you got to the feelings. A lot of people talk. The Haagen-Dazs commercials are all about your emotions, eating for your emotions, and that shouldn't be the case. It should be, we're eating for our bodies, and we're trying to build our bodies with the right building blocks. And honestly, if you read a chemical you can't say, I'm sure it's not in your body for a particular reason.
Yes. If you can't read the damn label, don't eat it. Like, if you can't pronounce something, don't eat it.
Yeah, and the same pervasive influences going on. The plant people are just, they're controlling a lot of this, like the plate and the pyramid. And they've been doing that for years. And so you have to be careful of skeptical of authority. That's what happens in the fourth turning, and that's what's happening So
it's gonna be
yeah,
it's gonna be a crazy, like, Wild West type environment for the very foreseeable future, for a while. You
Yeah.
need to plant your feet down in some grass, grow some roots, and just get yourself stable to weather all of the wind and the tsunamis and the earthquakes and everything else. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And then I tell people to move and ground themselves too. Bare feet on the ground is really good.
I do it.
Moving. I mean, I do yoga every day, and I think people are just sedentary, and that needs to change. Maybe Kennedy could bring back the physical fitness, stuff that we used to have.
He was interested in that, actually.
Yeah.
He said it, I never wear socks or shoes. I'm like constantly barefoot everywhere I go. It just makes me feel better. So, well, listen, it's 3:06 next week on Monday. Come in at 2:45, the latest.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we've got like somebody. There's other questions here. I'm gonna write them down, and I'll ask them of you. But you can come chill again next week. How's that?
Sounds good.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, nice to see you, Tracy.
Nice to see you too.
Good luck with your other stuff. I mean, I would like to see what you're doing with MAGA.
Maha, you mean?
Maha, I mean. Yeah.
You sure will very soon. It's a lot of
because can I tell you on the air that I would like to help you, because I mean I do have a lot of things I would love to change, but I don't want to be the guy in the front. I just want to be helping with the public discourse about it.
As soon as we get to a place where that's starting, which will be soon, I will definitely reach out to you.
Yeah, I met Kennedy twice, and I kind of followed that movement because they were talking about real things.
They're talking about things that'll change the future of humanity, like from the core. It's just different. It's not the same thing as like politics. Oh, vote this D in, vote this R out. It's talking about changing us, like, for the better, like from inside. That's we've never had such a collective, a critical mass of people focused on that before. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, I could be part of that with you, alongside if you want me to.
I shall link arms with you, friend. I will reach out.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Ciao. Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. All right. So that's the show for today. It was quite a show. I got everything out. I didn't really show you guys anything in terms of news, but it's all right. I have something funny we can open with tomorrow. And for now, we're going to end it. If you can, if you had a great time, like this, share it out with your friends, hit the thumbs up button, support our sponsors. They've been floating through. I mean, look, Dr. Dentist had Mad Hat Jerky, which is excellent, and he said so too. And I will see you guys tomorrow. That's the amazing thing about this. I'm back tomorrow at 2:00 to spend more time with you and get to know you better. So with all of that, see you tomorrow.